From WNDU-TV, you're watching 16 News Now at 4.
Here are your top 4 headlines at 4. The polar vortex is hitting Michiana, and we're trying our best to keep you safe. It's plunging the nation into extreme cold, and state of emergency have been called in weather described as once-in-a-generation cold.
President Trump and the intelligence community have contradictory views on the threats facing the U.S., why he's turning his back on the dispute.
Plus, the Phoenix nurse accused of raping and impregnating a disabled patient has his court appearance moved to a later date, why this decision was made.
And a federal grand jury has charged the man suspected in the deadly Pittsburgh synagogue shooting with additional hate crimes and firearms charges.
Topping our news this afternoon is the extremely dangerous polar vortex hitting the Midwest right now, going into most of the day tomorrow. And we want to continue to do everything we can to keep you informed and safe. That's why we have team coverage this afternoon. Maria Catanzarite has essential information on what you need to do if you lose electricity during these dangerous lows and how power companies can save you. NewsCenter 16's Mark Peterson is covering local warming centers and shelters if you need somewhere to go or if you know someone who is struggling. And Kim Shine is at South Bend Animal Care and Control with how officials are rescuing pets from being hurt in these life-threatening wind chills. But first, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Mike Hoffman. And Mike, have we hit a new record for the lowest temperatures in Michiana?
Not quite yet, Maureen. You know, we missed it because of timing this morning. Our high temperature today will officially be -6. That's because that occurred at midnight. We fell the rest of the night and into most of the day today. Wind chill, and we do have a chance, by the way, still a chance of breaking the coldest temperature ever here in Michiana tomorrow morning. Dangerous wind chills will continue. This goes through Thursday afternoon. -30 to -45 will be the wind chills most of that time in every part of Michiana. And you can see we are the coldest spot on this map right now. South Bend has a wind chill of -40. Nobody else around is that cold, so we are in the core of the cold right now. 16 Doppler max shows most of the snow showers have moved north of Berrien County. Still some flurries are possible. Northern Berrien County, maybe northern Cass, but the rest of us have been fairly clear, and that's going to continue. So clear to partly cloudy skies right through the evening. Temperatures falling now back to -18 by 9 p.m. We'll let you know how low they go later tonight coming up.
All right, thank you, Mike. And unfortunately, some of you may be dealing with power outages in this freezing cold weather. Maria Catanzarite is indoors, of course, at St. Patrick's Parish, one of the area's warming centers. Maria?
Lindsay, good afternoon, and I got to be honest, I am not exaggerating. It is a balmy 72 degrees inside of the warming center here off of South Scott Street, where St. Patrick's Parish Center is, doubling, as I said, as a warming center. But this was not the case cross town at Holy Cross College, which lost power around 6:25 this morning. Students having to be evacuated within 2 hours. Those students boarding buses to Notre Dame's North Dining Hall around 8:30 this morning. Of the 238 living on campus, Holy Cross says 99 of them signed off so that they could go home to family or friends who had apartments just as long as Holy Cross staff knew where they were. 10:30 is when staff learned the power was back on.
It was 12:30 that we started transporting students or transporting them back to Holy Cross after our maintenance and our facilities crew was able to go through all of the residence halls and the places that we would be using to make sure power was on, for sure, heating was up and adequate, and just to allow time for the residence halls to heat up.
Speaking of tomorrow, Holy Cross students get another day off. Only essential staff are reporting to campus, such as those who work for the residence halls, keeping up with maintenance, and of course the dining hall. But coming up tonight at 5, we're going to be talking about how I&M crews are staying safe in this brutal cold.
All right, Maria, thank you. And now to a safety alert. In the case your power does go out during these dangerous conditions, there are multiple places you can go no matter where you live. In fact, the Michiana community has received plenty of kudos for the way it's responding to the dangerous deep freeze. Mark Peterson is live at a warming center in Niles Township with more. Mark?
You know, Maureen, this shelter is brand new and unique in that it was opened by a heating and air conditioning company. They took a look at the forecast, saw how rough the going was going to get, and well, they got going. On the other end of the spectrum, you got the South Bend Center for the Homeless. They've been at this, for now 30 years dealing with this problem. In between those two entities, a lot of others have stepped up to do their part. The result, according to the executive director of the Homeless Center, not so much as a close call that he's aware of.
This is not hype. This is real. It's the coldest we've ever seen it. It's causing an increased need in our community. And as you'd guess, the community has once again risen to the occasion. I've seen more facilities and warming centers open up their doors to welcome folks. Hopefully there haven't been any close calls out there. I haven't gotten any word of anybody who's been in danger. And we're just going to pray and hope that that stays, because frankly, I think tonight is actually going to be worse than last night.
And again, this shelter in Niles Township, among the newest offerings. We'll let you know a little bit more about it in upcoming shows.
All right, thank you, Mark. And now to important new information. As people are trying to dodge the cold, we must remember that animals are susceptible to it too. NewsCenter 16's Kim Shine is live at South Bend Animal Care and Control, where they've been rescuing animals since last week. Kim?
Yeah, and of course I am inside because it's way too dangerous outside. But that's the point. If you don't want to be out there, don't leave your pet out there. Now, as of yesterday, Animal Control seized 8 animals, and they have since been brought back to the shelter. In some of these cases, the animals had frostbite on their noses and on their ears. And that's the case for 1 or 2 of the animals that you're seeing right now in this video. Now, it can be easy to fall into misconceptions and think that because your pet has thick fur or it's a colder weather breed, that it can be left outside, but not in these conditions. And take a listen as the director of Animal Care and Control explains why.
Well, a lot of people think, for instance, huskies, they're sled dogs, they, mush through Alaska. This is true, but over the course of time, their paws and their extremities build up to be a little bit more immune to these brutal temperatures and the snow. This region is not necessarily acclimated to these brutal cold temperatures, and neither is your pet, regardless if they've been kept outdoors for any length of time, or if they even live outdoors.
Now, if you see an animal that is left outside and needs help, you can call 311 during business hours. But after that, you can call 574-235-9303. You must leave a message, though, on the emergency line and not the general line. And coming up at 5, we'll talk about horses and livestock tips from a local veterinarian. Live here in South Bend, Kim Shine, NewsCenter 16.
And you can stay with NewsCenter 16 on air and online as we bring you the latest on this polar vortex and the dangerous conditions expected throughout the week. Stay safe and stay warm.
Now to a startling riptide in national security. The nation's top intelligence officials publicly disagreed with President Trump on key foreign policy and national security issues from North Korea to Russia. U.S. intelligence chiefs giving a stunning public rebuke, disagreeing with the president's recent declaration that North Korea is no longer a nuclear threat. But one of the most striking headlines, what wasn't mentioned, the need for a wall along the country's southern border, which the president has called a crisis. All of it highlighting the sharp divide between the president and the people charged with keeping the country safe.
New developments on a disturbing case we've been following. Today's scheduled status conference for Nathan Sutherland, the nurse accused of raping and impregnating an incapacitated woman at a healthcare facility, has been vacated. Friday's preliminary hearing also likely won't happen. This typically happens when prosecutors seek a grand jury indictment. 36-year-old Nathan Sutherland was arrested last week after a DNA sample from the newborn matched Sutherland's DNA. Staff members at Hacienda Healthcare Facility told 911 operators they were unaware the woman was pregnant until the baby was born.
And the man accused of killing 11 people at Pittsburgh Tree of Life Synagogue is now facing new charges. The Department of Justice says a grand jury is charging Robert Bowers with additional federal hate crimes and firearm offenses. Bowers now faces a 63-count indictment in last October's massacre. He has already pleaded not guilty to the original charges. In addition to the 11 people killed, 2 worshipers were critically injured. 12 other congregants were able to escape unharmed. 22 of the counts Bowers now faces carry a maximum penalty of death.
Today, a NewsCenter 16 original story, sequins, tulle, and a little bit of sparkle. That's what you can find inside Ashley Renee's newest location in Granger. The store had its grand opening 2 weeks ago and has since been buzzing with girls searching for the perfect prom or pageant dress. The owner, Ashley Swathwood, knows that feeling well as a former pageant girl. She was born and raised here in Michiana and says she's passionate about giving girls in our area the experience and quality they deserve without having to travel far. And coming up at 4:40, I'll tell you how Ashley turned her at-home business and online store into a thriving business that serves women across the country.
And up next on 16 News Now at 4, former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz is pushing back after a wave of Democratic criticism over his potential independent bid for president. Why he's brewing up so much backlash. Just ahead.
You're watching WNDU-TV 16 News Now at 4.